The rectum believes it is ready to empty, even though there is not enough contents to make it happen.
Morning. This is not a blog for everybody. Anyway, so today is July 22nd. So yesterday I quoted William Shakespeare in reference to the genocide of the Native Americans by Anglos. Today we see Shakespeare in a different light. We see him historically, for on a hot July 22nd in 1598, the Merchant of Venice was licensed in a London registry office.
I was just not eating the right foods, not eating enough, and generally not drinking enough, things like that. It's carried on till last year, really, when I was about 28. So that's quite a span to have it. At the beginning, I went to the doctors regularly, and they said it was constipation, use fibrogels, different drugs.
Conversely, a few years later, on July 22nd, 1604, Bishop Bancroft and King James I of England developed the 14 instructions to the translators of a new version of the Bible. The instructions were designed to ensure that the work would be a Protestant Bible and leave out the lost Gospels, which showed Jesus had a wife and kids, along with the 75 other books called the Apocryphal books, for stating such things as was written by the only guy who wrote anything bad about homosexuals, Paul, in an apocryphal book called the Acts of Paul. This is where Paul talks to lions, tigers, and bears, long before Disney or the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, they had to leave that book out because what kind of worth would Paul have after that, huh? Interesting. But there was other books in there too. For instance, the book of Adam and Eve, that was left out, that was voted thumbs down, because in there, Bartholomew, he asked Mary about her relationship with her son, and she agrees to tell him about her first date with God, but only if he held her legs and breasts securely so that she doesn't tremble or crumble into a pile of bones. Yeah, and this just scratches the surface for such good things that were written in all the apocryphal books, you know. Go check them out. They're out there. We all know they're there. We just kind of leave them back there, but they're there. They were left out. They were just voted down. Bam, bam, bam. Actually, point of reference too is Revelations only got put in by one vote. It was kind of like, is it apocryphal? Is it not? Anyway, who knows? I don't know. And the reason being is that they wanted to make the Bible more accessible to closed minds. Or as Hemingway said about his Oak Park, Illinois suburban home, the land of wide lawns and narrow minds. Yes. So, it's no secret, the reason we're talking about Shakespeare on this day is that he wrote much of the Bible. You can follow the links at esotericdaily.com, and I've documented it there. There's some passages where he left us little clues. Shakespeare was here. And of course, it's beautifully written. You got to admit that, the Bible is, which I think is what gives it its staying power over all these years. Yes, in spite of its narrow message for today's narrow minds, the Bible is written pretty good. The King James Version is. So anyway, what else makes this July 22nd so esoterically stimulating to me? Where everything's, I might be turning the bones here, crumbling, if I'm not careful. Well, in 1930, the first sighting of the famous Loch Ness Monster was officially recorded in Scotland. Yep, that's a gift that keeps giving. Now, this is not to be confused with another hot July 22nd in 1934, when Public Enemy number 1, John Dillinger, was let out of a theater by a date/FBI informant named Anna Sage. Sage was her prostitute madame name. Her real name was Cupanis, a Romanian name. She was illegally here, but she wore a red dress to alert the G-men of their target. Well, the dress was actually orange, but that's how history goes. Dillinger was murdered, and Anna Sage got what happens to all bad people who do bad things in history, i.e., the baseball manager of the Houston Astros baseball team recently in 2017, after they got caught cheating to win a World Series. What happens to that manager? Same thing that happened to our Miss Sage back in 1934, sent to Detroit. That's right. Well, she was sent to Detroit and then deported back to Romania in spite of the FBI's promise not to deport her if she helped them nail Dillinger to the wall, which she did. Those were the good old days, right? Bad guys were bad and good guys were badder. Well, that's it for me here on this hot, steamy July 22nd. I'm going to go read some more of those apocryphals now because they are pretty stimulating, I must admit.
And this can be loose bowels, constipated bowels, or sometimes the patient may vary between loose bowels and constipated bowels. And it is important to point out to the patient that this is a real condition. It's not in their mind.